Welcome to Creating Meaningful Log Alerts. My name is Marie, and I'm with Sumo Learn. This video is intended for users that are familiar with Sumo alerting. I assume you know something about the different alert types and how to configure them. So what is a meaningful alert? It's an alert that is triggered only when a real problem exists. There are two moving parts to a Sumo alert: a scheduled search that detects a problem, and an alert action like an email notification that Sumo kicks off when the problem is detected. Today, I'll focus on how to craft a good search upon which to base an alert. I'm going to talk you through several searches that each target the same issue in a different way. Each of the three searches is intended to detect a high volume of HTTP 404 errors. This first query is very basic. It returns the count of 404 errors per time slice. Looking at the aggregates table, the results are pretty noisy. It looks like there are 404s in almost every time slice, so it makes sense to add a threshold. I'll uncomment this last line. So now the query just returns the time slices in which the count of 404s was more than 250. This reduces the result set significantly. One issue, though: if your site traffic increases substantially, we'd expect the count of 404s to go up simply as a result of that increased traffic. An alert based on this search will probably produce some false positives, unless you were to go in and increase the threshold when site traffic goes up, and that's hardly practical. So let's look at a slightly more sophisticated search. This query is similar to the previous one, but it uses the outlier operator on the 404 count, which allows us to take recent history into account. The outlier operator tracks the moving average and standard deviation of a value and returns the result when the actual value exceeds the mean by some number of standard deviations. Looking at the graph, you can see there are 6 outliers. This query is a distinct improvement over our first one. Because we're using outlier, the results show time slices in which the increase in 404s is statistically significant. However, the query still doesn't account for the fact that we expect the frequency of 404s to increase along with overall site traffic. So we could probably do even better. Our third query, kind of similar to the second query, but in this case, we're considering the 404 count in the context of successful requests. What we want to do is alert when 404s spike in the absence of a spike in overall traffic. So in this query, what we're doing is classifying 2XX and 404 messages as successes and fails respectively. We count the successes and fails by time slice and calculate a failure rate based on these counts. Then we use the outlier operator on the failure rate. Check out the results. Just one outlier. I'm feeling pretty good about this query. But before I create an alert based on this search, what I'm going to do is uncomment the last line. That's so that our alert will only be triggered as a result of the outliers. So to base an alert on this query, I need to schedule the search. I'll start by clicking Save As. Give it a unique name. I've already provided a description. I'll change the time range to the last 60 minutes. Now I'll click Schedule this search. I want this guy to run hourly. Send me an email. And voila, we're done. So to recap, I've tried to show you how to focus on statistically significant results using Outlier and how to further refine a query by evaluating failures in the context of site traffic. If you'd like to build a query similar to the last one I presented, it's available on our community site as a part of our query library. Just go to our Learn tab, click the Community tile, then run a search on Meaningful Alerts. Thank you so much for listening. I sure hope you found it useful.